Hey, Jimbo.
What's up, bud?
You missed the countdown yesterday, unfortunately, so you were a little under the weather. Uh,
Yeah,
you miss anything else? Anything else big or something, big story, big something? Anything else happen? I can't, I don't really know.
yeah. There was finally someone that said Joker 2 was a good movie.
Really? I think there's more of a chance of that not happening. Like, I don't know what's more unlikely. Somebody going to Joker 2 and saying, that was good, or somebody going like, Robert Saleh was a good head coach. I don't know. Neither one of them really kind of are. I'll say this before we jump into the actual show.
Okay.
Especially, I'll say in the last 10 years, I've never seen the critical score and the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes match perfectly as it has for Joker 2.
Yeah.
And listen, I think the concept, the idea of maybe what they were looking to do or what was like the musical part of it, I don't think is bad from a conceptual point of view. From what it appears to be, though, from what I've seen from the reviews and stuff, because I'm certainly not going to go fucking see it now,
Yeah.
is that the execution part of it, well, that it probably should have been executed. And welcome everybody to Stay Tuned Sports. I am your boy King. That right over there is your good friend Jimbo. And boy, oh boy, has it been quite the last 24, 36 hours here in the world of sports. Jimbo, the big thing clearly is that Kayvon Thibodeau has had wrist surgery and he will be out for no, of course not. It's about Robert Saleh finally getting fired in New York. I jumped on. There was an emergency broadcast yesterday when the news broke. Our boy ELS was in chat actually, which is pretty cool. He shows that he was jumping on there with us. But I want to get your thoughts again because we haven't heard from you for a little bit. What's your thoughts on what happened, and then we'll get into it.
I mean, we pretty much all of us agree that Saleh should probably have been fired even before Rodgers showed up to the Jets. I just like the stories going around. Like, okay, Aaron Rodgers was on Pat McAfee's show today and said I did not have any influence in the firing and this and that and the other thing. And you know what? Like, even though Aaron Rodgers has a track record of not getting along with head coaches, I kind of believe that he didn't have an influence into it. But it's just weird that, again, the story. And
There's something I want to jump in on that. I want to jump in on that because that's a narrative that's going around. Oh, Aaron Rodgers, he's a coach killer. Aaron Rodgers, man, he never gets along with his head coaches. You know how many head coaches Aaron Rodgers has had in his entire career?
Three. And
Mike McCarthy,
13,
LaFleur,
13 seasons.
and now Robert Saleh in 20 years or whatever, how long it's been. So first of all, show me on that timeline where he's a fucking coach killer.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Is there's like, three different coaches came in, and within a couple of years, like, okay, LaFleur didn't get fired, but he had to change his offense. But the Mike McCarthy thing, he was with them for 13 seasons.
See, that's it. I don't think LaFleur really changed his. Like, he wasn't forced to do anything. He didn't force to change his offense. He wasn't like there wasn't like that's the other part of this too. Like I never saw any of that.
Yeah.
When it came to even with LaFleur. Now, did they have a bit of a loggerhead relationship? But I'll jump into this a little bit later. But I think that's where you have like Nathaniel Hackett there now,
Yeah.
That's where he kind of comes in there because he was that kind of buffer piece between LaFleur and Rodgers that made it work in Green Bay. But maybe it's been misinterpreted by Rodgers as just like, oh, he's the one who made me play good. And it's like, no. Like, he was there and was a good piece to the puzzle.
Yeah.
But without having that commanding coach and the coach that has control of his locker room and of his players and of the building itself, just having, he runs the show without having that kind of presence. Like, Nathaniel Hackett is not good. And again, we've seen enough evidence of Nathaniel Hackett in Denver and New York already, Florham Park, whatever, to show that he's not it. He's not the guy. He never was the guy. He's never going to be the guy.
Yeah, and being that you brought Hackett up, that's the other narrative that's being brought out is that supposedly Saleh was going to go into Woody Johnson and say, "Hey, I'm demoting Hackett," and then having Downing as the new OC, and then supposedly 5 minutes later is when Johnson fired Saleh. Like,
that didn't happen. We know that.
Yeah,
but it sounds good. It makes it. Listen, it makes a great story. It makes for a great drama. This would be a wonderful episode of Playmakers from ESPN. If anybody remembers this, man, I'm dating myself with that fucking reference. But
this is the team that should have been in season Hard Knocks with all this stuff going on. But like that narrative set up good for the whole. Aaron Rodgers got caught wind of Saleh wanting to demote Hackett, so he went into Woody Johnson, hence the Aaron Rodgers had the influence and everything. But I really don't believe Rodgers had a say. He may, or even an influence. I mean, maybe Woody Johnson asked him, "Hey, what do you think we should do about Saleh?" And I'm pretty sure he didn't throw him underneath the bus.
Well, listen.
So I mean,
Saleh was a part of that group that went to go get him. Like that was one of the whole things. Like if Rodgers didn't like Saleh, if like that was part of the things before he even went to the Jets, he would have been like, "I'll come to the Jets, but you got to get rid of that motherfucker."
Yeah.
And you don't think that the Jets would have done that at the time to get Aaron Rodgers? Of course they would have. But that's what I mean. This idea that he hated Saleh or anything like that is, again, I can't speak to what happened in the locker room because we don't know. The only thing we know about what happened in the locker room is that Saleh literally had no control over anyone or anything in that locker room. And we know that from several examples.
Yeah.
We know that from the Mike fucking White shirts that he allowed the players to walk around with when he benched Zach Wilson and was laughed about it. And not only that, but his press conference, like the things he would say during his press conferences and things like that, like he was notorious for not being great at the podium and saying maybe shit that is the wrong things to say. And now, listen, we'll never know if Zach Wilson was going to be a good quarterback at any point in his career or not. But I think a lot of the issues that Zach Wilson has and still has to this day stems from kind of being crushed and his confidence being crushed by Saleh and that team that they had. They just, and you can sit there and say, like, he has nothing to do with the offense. Okay. And don't get me wrong, Saleh's a great defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
He could put together the defense. That Jets defense was good. It was getting better. Like as a defensive person, but you're the head coach. You're the head coach. You're over everybody. You can't just ignore the offense.
Yeah.
You're the guy in charge of everything. And so everything you say and everything you do matters. So I think that Robert Saleh did play a very large part in Zach Wilson turning out the way Zach Wilson did. And then, of course, last year we had the Diana Rossini report coming out, which had multiple leaks from the Jets locker room, which, first of all, how do you have that many leaks? But then again, it does make sense because this motherfucker was having an open text relationship with fucking Joe Beningo from Joe from Saddle River, from fucking WFAN. Like, and having Beningo say all these things over the air, like on his show, on his podcast, all this other shit, like shit that shouldn't have been said and shit that shouldn't have been there to begin with. And I'll have to go back and find, maybe I'll find some of the audio. It's wild. that this is something that somebody talked to that is literally a media personality in the New York area, and was just like having a conversation like it was his friend, his buddy. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you have the Diana Rossini report come out with all these different leaks from the Jets locker room being like, it's a shit show. He has no control over that locker room. The players don't respect him. The players laugh in his face, or they laugh behind his back. Like they're like he had no control over that organization at all, whatsoever. So when you look at all those pieces, the only thing wrong with firing Saleh yesterday, from the New York Jets' perspective, is that should have been done in January. And as a matter of fact, it should have been done after the 2022 season, if we're going to be honest. I thought that he should have been fired there. The fact that they gave him another year last year with Rodgers coming in, and like I felt that was a mistake at the time, and I still feel that way. And you know, you look at it, you know, Aaron Rodgers gets hurt 4 plays into the season. And everybody feels like, okay, well, he deserves a mulligan because they lost Aaron Rodgers and they had to deal with Zach Wilson again. Zach Wilson, the quarterback that he fucking ruined to begin with. I want to put that out there. At least that's how I feel about it. Look what Stefanski did in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Yeah, he lost to Deshaun Watson, which, looking back on it now, maybe not the worst thing to happen. But then he also lost his backup, and then he lost his backup's backup, to the point where they had to go and get Joe Flacco off the goddamn couch to come in and play for them. And look what happened there. And took a team that could have easily fallen apart, just like the Jets, having injury after injury after injury. Nick Chubb having his knee shredded 17 ways to Sunday, to the point where he's still not back yet, and still, you know, he's getting closer from what I think he's practicing now, or at least, something along those lines. Like he took that team that could have fallen apart just as easily as the Jets did, and got them into the playoffs. Why couldn't Saleh do that? Because he's not a head coach. Because he's not that kind of guy. And the players knew that. The people in that organization, in that locker room, in that building at One Jets Drive, they knew that. And they still allowed him to be the head coach. So that's what I mean. I don't think he should have been coached last year. And then especially after last year and how that all happened, like, I'm sorry, just because you lose one player doesn't mean you get a mulligan on your whole season. And I think Woody should have put his foot down and fired him then. Fired the staff too. I don't care how much Aaron Rodgers wanted to keep Hackett or wanted Hackett there. If I'm Woody Johnson, I'm like, he goes. Everybody's going. This team did not have anything good. And if he's such a good offensive coordinator, he should have been able to put something together for either Zach Wilson or whoever else they had. I don't know. Would they have Trevor Siemian or something? I don't even know who their backup was for Wilson. But like it's clear to see that it's not working. It's a very simplistic offense. It's a very not a lot of motion, not a lot of movement. Doesn't fool anybody, and they're getting crushed on the blitz. And I think that's the thing is everybody sees it. Everybody knows the Vikings destroyed them on that, knowing what he does, knowing how if he sees blitz, he does this, and he'll throw it over and he'll do a quick slant or a quick screen. I mean that's how Van Ginkel got his interception. Was it like they Rommel, you son of a bitch, I read your book. Like they know what you're doing. You have to show some kind of complexity in the NFL, and they're not. And I think that's the biggest problem right now with the offense. So Saleh did need to go. Yeah. Maybe this is early enough to where you can try to salvage something, because this year for the Jets is, and we've said it over and over from the offseason till now, this is it's this or nothing. It's this year or you're blowing it all up, because Rodgers won't be back. You got all your rookie contracts are going to be up for Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, and then Breece Hall. It's all going to fall apart. Yeah. So it has to be now.
The thing is, though, as long as Hackett is the OC, I don't see this changing, because you got rid of Saleh. I'm not saying that he was the sacrificial lamb or whatever, because I mean, like we said, we both agree he should have been gone. But no matter if you bring Bill Belichick in there, Vrabel, no matter who, Hackett is just not doing anything good.
Well, then again,
Aaron
though,
Rodgers
but
got the same numbers as Zach Wilson. I think
he's the idea of replacing Hackett as the play caller, not so much as the OC, I guess, whatever titles matter, but he wouldn't be replaced as the play caller or as OC, but as just as the play caller by Todd Downing. Downing, sorry. That's not off the table yet either.
And that's why I'm thinking I'll give them one more week, one more game, to say if I think they're done or not. If they have another bad offensive outing and they don't demote Hackett, then their season's done.
And that's going to be up to Ulbricht to see what he wants to do. Because listen, they could sit there and say, well, he's acting head coach. I don't give a shit. He's the head coach. He's the interim head coach. So it will be his decision to be like, listen, this isn't working. We're changing it. And from everything that we hear and understand is that he has he's very well liked in the locker room. He has everybody's respect. We'll see if he can have command of the locker room and of the players, both on defense and because he's the defensive coordinator. So of course the defense is going to love him. But now it's the question of, can he do that for the entire team? Can he get everybody? Can he rally everybody around? Can you do that? And teams usually get a nice little post coach firing bump, but can he keep that going? Can he save this season for the Jets? And that's the point that everybody keeps on bringing up too, is that the Jets are only, if they win on Monday night, they're in first place.
Yeah.
So, like, this isn't an all is lost moment. And I think some people get confused by that. Like, well, how could you fire Saleh? You're only one game out of first place. Anybody who's been in the New York area, and I think that's the other thing too, people who are commenting on this aren't from the New York area or haven't paid attention to the Jet situation as closely. Like I said, not only has this been a long time coming, this has been an overdue amount of long time coming. Saleh, like I said, Saleh should not have been there for last season. He should not have been. And he was, and then they still gave him another mulligan going into this year. My only question, if I could talk to Woody Johnson, I would say, first of all, how'd you fuck with the vaccine so badly? Listen, I'm not saying anything about the vaccine or not. I'm saying about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Remember, had to be recalled because it was really fucked up. So that specific one. So that would be the first question. Second question. If Saleh was going to be on this short of a leash, which clearly he was, no matter what they want to say, like you don't fire a coach after the fifth week if he's not on a short leash. If Saleh was going to be on this short of a leash, why didn't you just fire him in January?
Yeah.
Like, if this was going to be a thing where you sat there and said, like, okay, well, we'll see how he does with Rodgers, but if by 5 games in he's not doing well, then we're going to fire him. If you already didn't have that much confidence in him to begin with, if you were already going to be on that level of just like, short hook, real short hook, he shouldn't have been the coach to begin with. Yeah. You should have started fresh. And that means, including, because when you bring in a new coach, he's going to want to bring in his own guys. So that means Nathaniel Hackett would have had to go. Now, part of me wonders if that's why he kept him. Is because if I get rid of him and I get somebody else, they're going to clean house. And I don't want that. Because if I do that, then Aaron Rodgers will be mad. And I think, as much as I do like Aaron Rodgers, and I do try to, see things from that point of view, like, I'm not someone sitting here saying, like, it's all his fault. He stormed into Woody Johnson's office and said, get rid of this guy. He sucks. Like, he didn't do that. That didn't happen. Yeah. We know that. But there is this almost feeling or maybe an influence that, people didn't want to deal with the headache that would be Aaron Rodgers if they did that. If they got rid of Hackett, would it be a fucking thing? Whatever. Which, first of all, you're the man who owns Johnson & Johnson. Who gives a fuck what anybody thinks?
Yeah.
Like, you're a fucking billionaire. You were the ambassador to the fucking United Kingdom. Which, by the way, I think in his statement he listed himself as Ambassador Johnson. It's like, dude, like, come, relax. You were the ambassador. You had plans. You're just the owner of fucking cursed, shitty fucking football franchise right now. That's all you are.
Yeah.
So to me, it seems like this could be a step in the right direction, but it's a half measure. It's a measure that was long overdue, and it could end up being a half measure if they don't address some of the other problems. Because let's face facts, the defense was fine. The defense is doing great. It's the offense that fucking sucks.
Yeah.
They can't run. They can't pass. Rodgers looks bad. The offense looks bad. And like I said, it looks simplistic, and it's easy enough for these defenses to just pick apart every game. And the only 2 games where they actually looked somewhat decent and looked like they were getting their shit together was against the Titans, who suck, and the Patriots, who mega suck.
Yeah.
So there's been no progress on that point. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what else to really say about it. You know, it's been so. It's the only thing I get upset about is seeing people talking about like I don't think Saleh was a bad. I was in the Discord before. Not our Discord, unfortunately. Which, by the way, if you want to join, the links are down in the description. Along with our donation station, we've had a couple more donations. Thank you so much to Imram. He went ahead and donated $5 to us as well, along with Bryce, whose name is still up there as the top contributor, as you can see. Because if you want to get your name on a ticker, you got to do more than 5. That's just I don't make the rules. That's just how it is. Also, to our merch store, brand new merch dropped in there as well. All those links are down there in the description. Also up in the QR codes. So there you go. But I was in another sports Discord, and I had people. I was seeing the people in there, like a couple of Bears fans and other things like that, were like, "Oh no, I think Robert Saleh wasn't a bad head coach. I think he was pretty good." I was like, "You guys clearly have not listened to or seen or heard anything." And I was like, he literally is bad. Doesn't have control of the locker room. Doesn't have anything. Like he commands no respect. And I remember one of them was like, "Well, how do you know that? How do you know he doesn't have control of the locker room?" Well, all you have to do is look at the Diana Rossini piece.
Yeah.
And that's if you just look at the Diana Rossini piece and not everything else, too. If you take away the Mike fucking White shirts, if you take away his press conferences where he said some of the wildest, dumbest shit you ever heard, like it made, like he said shit that would make Sirianni seem like a fucking Shakespearean poet. Like what are we doing? Like that's the other thing too. Like he's
tough.
It's so bad. Like he was so bad. He was never. Listen. I think he will get a job again as a defensive coordinator, clearly. I would want him as a defensive coordinator. I think he is a fantastic top-shelf, top-level defensive coordinator. But as I've said here before, there are people who are great coordinators who don't make good head coaches. You know, and I look at Spagnuolo as one of them. I look at Wade Phillips, if you want to go back a little bit. Wade Phillips is another one of them. Like, you know, great coordinators, do great things as coordinators, but when it comes to running an entire team, it doesn't work. And that's fine. Yeah. Like, to me, it's like, you've learned your level. You know where you are. You know you can't do this. It's just not your bag, all right? So go and do what you do well. Make a shit ton of money doing that. And win yourself a couple fucking Super Bowl rings.
But, you know, he doesn't have to, you know, completely give up on the whole head coaching dream idea. I mean, he definitely needs to go back to being a defense coordinator. And maybe he'll get lucky to be a defense coordinator underneath, like, you know, Sean Payton or Bill Belichick, someone that's very seasoned, who's been around the head coaching gig for a while, and learn, okay, this is where I messed up when I was the head coach. This is where I got to get better at as a head coach. And who knows? Maybe the next time he gets a head coaching job, he wins 8 Super Bowls.
Well, I mean, look, it depends on how you look at it, too, because like Kyle Shanahan, it depends on who you talk to, I guess, of whether you think Kyle Shanahan's a good head coach or not, or somebody you want to emulate. But he's been there for, 8 years now?
Yeah. I'm not taking away from him, but I think you need someone who's been really around.
He's been there, so, like, I don't know. And it also depends on whether or not he has the willingness or ability to want to learn. And when I see Robert Saleh, like just looking at Robert Saleh just on a first glance, makes you scream, meathead. I do what me want. Because I, Robert Saleh, look at my gun, so big, Robert Saleh arms. You no tell me what do, Robert Saleh tell you what do. Yeah, like it comes off like that. Now, whether that's his personality or not, again, the press conferences kind of make it seem like it is. But and that's not. Listen, I'm not making fun of anybody who lifts or acts a good physique or anything like that. You're always going to think of people like that as being like the meatheads, but there are smart meatheads out there. You know, there are good coaches and good people and intelligent people that are weightlifting meatheads. I don't know if Robert Saleh is that. He seems to have a very singular focus of what he wants, tunnel vision of it is, I think this is the way that I want to do it, and I'm not going to deviate from that. But the way he wanted to do it was to be, the guy's guy, player's guy. I want to be like a guy in the locker room. And when you're a coach, you can't do that because then you lose control. Nobody respects you. Nobody controls you in the locker room. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
You can. It's just that it's a very fine line that you gotta walk. You could be a player's coach. Doug Peterson was a player's coach, and we won the Super Bowl.
And what has he done since?
That's the fine line.
So was that him, or was it maybe the sum of the parts around him?
I would say a little bit of the parts around him, like the Carson Wentz thing, Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts thing.
But also, I don't think Peterson ever lost the locker room.
I think halfway through that season, his last season, that's when there was reports starting to come out of him starting to lose the locker room, and then end of the season they just let him go.
To me, I don't think he ever, not in the same way that Saleh has.
Yeah, no, Saleh really lost.
I don't think he ELS in the chat. How you doing, brother? I don't think he ever lost the locker room the way Saleh did. Yeah. And the thing is, Saleh has lost that locker room for a year. Like, this was the third year of him not. Like, the first year, I'm sure they gave him a shot. But, like, again, when you hear all these things and the press conferences and the Mike fucking White shirts and how some of the players were talking about him and the leaks that came out from Joe Beningo and Diana Rossini's piece on him with all the leaks coming out of there, like, a well-run building, a well-run program, a well-run organization doesn't have leaks. It doesn't have people coming out being like, let me tell you what the fuck is going on in there. Whoo! Like, that doesn't happen in good, well-run organizations. Like, this is the thing. Like, we're hearing all these things now coming out about the Patriots and how the locker room was. And, there was that Apple TV show about it, which apparently was a lot of bullshit anyway. But even so, like, you're still hearing these things. Like, Edelman comes out and is talking about what it was like in the locker room now, and Brady's opening up a little bit more about what it was like in the locker room, Gronk, all those guys. When they were in that locker room, though, you didn't hear jack fucking shit about what happened in the Patriots locker room.
Yeah.
It was tight. It was run like almost like a military, which is, it makes sense, Belichick being a Navy man.
Yeah.
Like, it has that. And you look at what I think who all the greatest coaches are. Now, again, I look at Andy Reid. Andy Reid, players love him. He's one of the greatest coaches. Nobody has anything bad to say about him. But he also doesn't try to be one of the players. He's nice. He's friendly, I'm sure. But when he's running the show, when he's running that organization, he's running it. I am in charge.
Yeah.
Head guy.
How many times do we see him screaming at Travis Kelce?
A couple times. And that's what I mean. And when you look at coaches who are like that, they tend to be more successful. They tend to be the ones that run teams well. And again, just this morning, I was listening to Boomer and Gio on WFAN here in the New York area, and they had Phil Simms on. And he was talking about the first time he saw Dan Reeves come in as head coach there in, I think it was 93. I think the Giants hired Dan Reeves, who was with the Broncos before that. And that was after the Ray Handley era. And he said the first meeting that he remembers, he was in there, and Dan Reeves went up to the podium. He says, sit up straight, feet on the floor, and take your fucking hats off. and listen. When I'm speaking, it's silent. And Phil Simms said from that point, he said he went home, saw his wife. His wife was like, "Oh, hey, how'd it go?" He's like, "We're gonna win games." He's like, "We're actually gonna do something. We're gonna win because it was you had a command of the locker room. You had a command of the players, and whether they liked you or hated you, they respected you. They respected your word. They knew that whether it was whether they liked how you were or not, they knew that it was the same for them as it was for everybody else. Like your word ran how it went. That wasn't Saleh.
Yeah.
Saleh wanted to be one of the boys. Hey, let's have a couple of brewskis. Let's go. We're going to talk in here. Anybody see? How's your do? Like that's great. I think if you're a coordinator, maybe even like if you're just trying to yuck it up with the guys. But even I think if you're in a point of authority, no matter what it is, whether you're a coach, a coordinator, if you're in administration, if you're a parent. I think trying to be the friend, trying to be the chum, just one of the guys, one of the boys, one of the girls, whatever. If that's what you're trying to do, you're going about it wrong. You have to, if you're an authority figure, you have to be an authority figure.
Yeah.
And you have to put your foot down, and you have to be the guy that runs the show. Robert Saleh was never the guy to run the show, and that ultimately is the be all end all of it. And people can sit there and try to make excuses, and people can sit there and try to say that it's Aaron Rodgers' fault, that it's Woody Johnson's fault, that the Jets didn't give him a chance. You didn't give him a chance. What was it? This was his 4th year or 5th year? What? I don't even know which fucking year it was for Robert Saleh. I think it might have been going into this was his 4th year.
I think it was 5 because, like we said, 2.5 years ago he should have been fired.
Let me see.
But like a little side note, way to do that. How funny will it be if, say, 5, 6, 7 years from now, Zach Wilson is the new Sam Darnold?
This was his 4th year. He was hired in 2021. So 2021 was his first season. So this was the start. This was his 4th year. But I'm going to be honest. He should have been fired after his 2nd.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I say. He after 2022, he should have been fired for just how that all went. And like you look at it now, like he kind of had the ass end of the Sam Darnold years when Sam was there, and then he got Zach Wilson, and then he got Aaron Rodgers, and the results were the fucking same.
Yeah. And
now we look at what's going on with Sam Darnold. Zach, who knows if he'll ever be able to recover the way Sam did. You certainly hope that at some point he will, if he pays attention and does well.
Zach will win MVP at some point.
And fucking Aaron Rodgers is a 4-time MVP and one of the first ballot Hall of Famer. So you have 2 quarterbacks who at the time not great, but Sam Darnold has turned out to be fairly good. Yeah. I think we can all agree now if you just put development and the right kind of I think Darnold was in there during the Gase years. So again, Darnold had to overcome a lot. Like I'm not saying like that was anything that could be saved. But then you're gifted fucking Aaron Rodgers, and your results are the same as it was with Sam Darnold and with Zach Wilson. At that point you're looking at what's the common denominator with all of this?
Yeah.
It's you, Bobby. Bobby, I'm sorry, it's you. So it's not us, it's you. The fact that they had fucking security listen, if I'm Robert Johnson though, if I'm Woody Johnson, and I'm firing Robert Saleh, I'm gonna make sure I have several security around me because, like I said,
first off, I mean,
you no fire Robert. Robert Saleh get fired? No, Robert Saleh mad. Like
he turns into Bronson Reed.
Dude, like my man is like you got someone that jacked. I wouldn't want him super pissed at me, and especially since it was literally he tried to walk in the door and they're like, "Hey, Bobby, come here. We got to talk to you for a second." I know you're getting ready, getting a game plan for Monday night against the Bills. It's all great. We love it. We love what you're doing. But we're going to go in a different direction. So what we need to do is we're going to have several of our security staff walk you out. We will box up your shit and send it to you. Kind of as you're fired now. That's how that. I've been fired from several jobs, and I know that's how that works. They walk you out of the building and then say, "We'll send you your things."
Yeah.
You don't get to go back in there and grab your shit. I don't know if anybody ever else has been fired like that. When you get fired and they bring you in somewhere and they're just like, we decided to go in a different direction. Here, our security team will help escort you out, and we'll mail you your things when we collect it all. All right, thank you, goodbye. And it's like, motherfucker. So I can understand him being a little ticked off and that sounds like how it fucking went down.
That's the only thing is I was hoping there's like a TMZ video coming out or whatever. There's Saleh with his arms up in the air, when the guards take him and Jazzy Jeff throws him out into the street.
Dude, I'm hoping like hell at some, because I think they still got the cameras in there because they have that one Jets Drive show that they do, which is kind of like just Hard Knocks but just Jets specific. I would love to see some security footage of that and just them walking his ass out.
Now, one stat I'll give you about this, you said Saleh got hired in 2021. Out of that coaching carousel season, 2 coaches left out of, I think it was 8.
Dan Campbell.
And the next one to be fired.
We got a flower pot. But here's the thing, too. Also, in the chat, ELS says, I feel like Robert Saleh was too much of a friendly coach, but he wasn't a rough and tough kind of coach. And that's what I mean. It's for somebody who's as, like, built and jacked, you figured that he would be more of the, like, my word is law. What do you go, this is what we're doing. And instead, he wasn't. He was, kind of like a pussycat when it came to the players. And I think that was the problem, is that there was no sense of authority with anything he said or anything he did. So then when he did try to say something, the players fucking laughed in his face. Go read the Diana Rossini report. It's fucking crazy.
Oh, yeah. I remember that report coming out.
But here's my point, too, now to pivot just a little bit. Now if you're the Eagles, like the cherry's been popped. Yep. You know what I mean? The seal's been broken. Now it's not going to be like, oh, well, we're, because if they do it too early, someone would be like, oh, because like the Jets are getting it now. It's like, oh, did they do it too early? Did they do something like that? If you're the second team, nobody's going to really give a shit. And at some point, they're going to say, like, well, there was lots of talk about Sirianni losing the locker room last year, and he didn't really get anything done. Because here's the thing. If you guys struggle with the Browns, or God forbid you guys lose to the Browns, I think Robert Saleh is going to be joined on the unemployment line next week. Like, that's – if you guys cannot lose to the Browns. Like, you literally cannot lose to the Browns. If somehow the Browns win, which, by the way, I am going to be the biggest Browns fan on Sunday.
It can happen.
But, dude, if that happens, oh, man – but that makes it a lot easier. But that's what I mean. Here's my question to you. Does the Jets firing Saleh yesterday, does that make it, to you, do you think it's easier for Howie or Laurier to that's your owner, right? Jeff Laurier?
Yeah, Laurier.
Yeah.
I
always say Laurier, because he's got the E on the end, so I say Laurier.
Laurier. God, we're two stupid assholes.
Dumb. We're so dumb. Thank you for watching us. We are so dumb. ELS, thank you so much for watching us. We are dumb. If you're watching us right now, please like, share, and subscribe, because you love us. If you're watching us, you love stupidity, and that's why we thank you for watching us and our dumbness. But that's my question. Because of this firing that the Jets did with Saleh, do you think it makes it easier for Roseman and Laurier to fire Sirianni if it doesn't get better?
I think it was like yesterday afternoonish, a couple hours after the Saleh thing came out. It was a light bulb. I mean, for how sick I was and everything, a light bulb came on. I was like, holy shit. That's why we haven't fired Sirianni. They didn't want to be the first ones to do it.
They didn't want to be the first ones to do it. That was my thought.
I really think that's what it is. And that hook to fire him went from a 15-foot long hook to a 1-foot hook. That I wouldn't be surprised if Laurie goes down at halftime, losing 10-0, and says, "Get the fuck out."
That's what I mean.
Take your manure with you.
But that's the thing. Does that also do the same thing for, like, Peterson and Jacksonville? Does it do the same thing for some of these other coaches that have been talked about? Taylor in Cincinnati, I know some people have been talking about as well. Maybe being on a bit of a hot seat, getting very warm in Cincinnati, especially if they lose to the Giants on Sunday night.
I don't know about those coaches. I think Sirianni and Saleh were the ones that were on the hottest of seats. Peterson would be, I would think, would be the next coach that the seat is warm, getting hot, and the rest of the coaches, the seats are a little warm. But you or me?
That was me. My phone. My diabetic meter is yelling at me.
Oh.
It expired. I have to put a new one in.
But I think Sirianni and Saleh were the ones that were going to be the shortest leash ones. It was just that between the two teams, who was gonna jump first?
Who's gonna pull the trigger first? Who's gonna pull the trigger first? And I think now that Band-Aid's been ripped off, I think it's gonna see a lot of other teams say like, maybe us, maybe we do. By the way, ELS in the chat. This is why I love having ELS with us. He really is a champ. Quick little stat here. Quick little news. Robert Saleh is going to make close to $20,000 per day for the New York Jets over the next 2 years after his firing. That is, of course, until if he gets hired somewhere else, then I think the contract gets prorated or something, gets moved. So whatever money he makes from another team gets taken off of the Jets contract that they owe him, or I believe that's how it works. So if he just wants to chill for the next 2 years and just sit on a beach sipping Mai Tais and having he's got his family around. He's got a very big family apparently. But hey, maybe this is his time. He gets to spend some time with his family, spend some time with his kids and wife, making $20,000 a day, sitting on your ass, not doing anything. Well, he's not going to sit on his ass. He's going to get up, gonna hit the gym. So that's.
Let me ask you this now too. With this firing, where does kind of moving on to a different topic, and I don't want this topic to turn to the Brandon Ayuk thing for the next couple of weeks, but what do you think Davante Adams does? Do you think he still wants to go to the Jets, or does he see this dysfunction and be like, I don't want to go from one dysfunction?
Well, you got to look. Derek Carr with the Saints is out for the foreseeable future with whatever was wrong with his love handles, his oblique. And then you see what's happening with the Jets here, and it's like, So now if you're Davante, it's like, is there anywhere else that I would even want to go? Or is it like, do you walk back to the Raiders and be like, you know what? Let's just play this out. Let's just hamstring's feeling good again. It's honestly miracle work. I don't even know how that happened, but boy, that hamstring feels real good right now. Let's just go out there. Let's have some fun. Let's just play. Let's have some fun. Let's throw the ball around. Oh, Aiden O'Connell starting? That's fine. I don't care. Just man, I'll be out here. Whatever. I'll just be out here. That's fine. Let's just play it out. Let's just play it out.
If I'm Pittsburgh, I'm calling them up.
Who does Pittsburgh have to give? This is the other problem
Pickens.
too.
Get rid of Carl Pickens. He's
but you're going to have to give up a lot more than that because you're getting Davante Adams. So you're going to say you're going to give us a shitty receiver for a good receiver. You got to be giving us more than that.
No, I mean there'll be draft picks, but I think that'll be a good starter. I mean, when he wants to play.
Yeah, but the Steelers' draft picks are never that high. And that's the other thing too. I think people got to remember is that especially when it comes to Tomlin, like the Steelers. They never pick in the top half of the fucking draft. You know what I mean? Like they're never there. So, like if you get draft pick compensation from the Steelers, you're not getting high picks.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, as far as other teams, I did think about this. Like, just to piss you off, how funny would it be if Howie trades for him? A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Davante Adams as our 1, 2, 3 receivers. Then
that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work. You want to talk about somebody bitching a fit?
Yeah.
Because you can't give the ball to all fucking three of them. You can't throw 3 balls. Jalen Hurts can't even throw 1 ball, let alone 3.
He always throws it to the other team and watches me eat a goddamn wing.
In the chat, ELS, I would love to have Davante Adams back in Green Bay. The Packers fans would welcome back with open arms. I'm sure the fuck you would. Because Christian Watson's out. He's still out, right? I think a little bit. He's still injured, so he's still out. And I'm sure. Listen, I'm sure Love would be great. It does not hurt having Davante Adams on your team as long as he doesn't throw the ball like he did in the end zone against the Rams on Sunday. Like they won the game, and that's fine, but. listen, sometimes Jordan, I know you have to work quickly, math in your head. 6 points is worse than 2.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better just to eat the ball.
Oh, that play. That's
that
play.
Go
through my head. What play you're talking about?
That play. Yeah. Getting tripped up in the end zone. I'm going to fall. I'm going to be sacked. Let me just throw the ball in the air.
Yeah.
Not great. Not great.
You know what, though? I'll give the quarterbacks of last week credit. Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love's there. There was no Will Levis, so they stepped up their game to replace the Will Levis spot for the week.
Well, I think I think Brandon Perna brought this up over on his That's Good Sports. Will Levis might have had the week off, but the Will Levis moment never sleeps.
Yeah.
It seems like just for this season, every week, whether it's Will Levis or not, the Will Levis moment is going to live on.
Yeah.
So, man, I got to shut this stupid alarm off. But yeah, that's I don't know if there's anything like, what do you do? Like, do you just run with Rudolph? Run, Rudolph. I mean, I think that's what they're going to have to do in Tennessee if they want. And I know Callahan is still sitting there like, Levis is our quarterback. Levis is our quarterback. Levis is our quarterback.
Here's the thing. I mean,
is he though? Like, that's what I mean.
I would go with Rudolph because, I mean, it seemed like after he got smashed in the head by Myles Garrett, he played decent, and he would be like a Gardner Minshew for you. He would be a good bridge quarterback. So come next season, maybe they draft a quarterback or they trade for a young quarterback. But I just don't think Will Levis is the answer. I don't even think he's the answer as a backup.
Again, he's a young kid. Don't get me wrong, and maybe again, my feeling about when it comes to the young quarterbacks of just like, let them sit.
Yeah.
Let them sit. Let them learn. Like I said, because here's the thing. Look at Jordan. Jordan Love sat for 3 years, and he's still making kind of dumb rookie plays.
Yeah.
Young quarterback plays. And again, that only comes from experience. So at some point you're gonna have to throw him out there, sink or swim. Like I'm not saying you can't wrap them in bubble wrap and keep them all safe for the whole time. Like you have to throw them out there at some point. Which again, we'll get to New England, which I think that might be a little too early. But maybe having him sit for a little bit, again, behind Rudolph, who, again, and this goes to my point too, you don't have to be a Hall of Famer. You don't have to be a Pro Bowler. Just somebody who knows the NFL. Somebody who knows how to play the position. Rudolph knows how to play the position. Mason Rudolph has played. He's played well. He took the Steelers to the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Which, now, granted, the defense brought the Steelers to the playoffs. Let's not get that twisted. And if the Steelers do anything this year, it will be because of their defense. But like, just sitting behind somebody like that and let him go. And I know this is Levis's second year technically, and everything like that. And they've kind of pushed, and they've already made him the starter. So now if you take him out, then it feels like a demotion, and maybe he's upset or anything like that. But also, like, you got to remember that this was the guy in week 2 where Callahan's walking off the sidelines being like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like, clear as day. Like, you didn't need to be a lip reader to understand what Callahan was saying to him. And and that's the thing, is that he's doing that every game, and it's costing his team every single game. The fact that the Titans won a game without him in there making plays like that, I think that tells you a lot. Of just like, maybe you just need some stability right now. Somebody who's not going to have a Will Levis play. And the fact that that's what we're calling it now. Yeah. Oh man, boy, that's a Will Levis play. Did you see that Jordan Love play? Man, that's a Will Levis play. It's like, your name is now becoming synonymous with making a stupid play.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Like, that's not like you have to be better. And you have to be able to be willing to accept that. And I think that's going to be a part of growth too. But if I'm the Titans, I think that's something I could seriously consider, is like going with Rudolph for the foreseeable future for now, and see and see where that takes you. Because right now the AFC South is the Texans and everybody else. Even though I don't think the Texans have played particularly well in that division, they're running away with it because everybody else in that division sucks ass. So, like, you still have a chance to maybe get to a wild card, turn some things around, and if not, just play meaningful games into November and December. And even that means something. You don't want to get to, like week 7, week 8, week 9 and have your season, or you're just barely at the halfway mark of the season and your season's already over. Like, you don't want that. Yeah. So maybe you do try to do that. Or you be a stick in the mud and keep throwing Levis out there and he'll keep getting the fucking surrender cobras with his sticking his dick out at everybody. Like, I don't know. Oh, by the way, yeah, thank you so much for that ELS in the chat. Yeah, Romeo Dobbs, Jair Alexander, and Christian Watson, all three of them returned to practice. Full participation for all three. So Christian Watson's going to be back in fold. I'm sure that's going to help Jordan Love a lot. Turning our attention to New England. Is it too early? Is the only question I'll ask. Is it too soon, too early, especially with that team?
Yeah, I mean, that offensive line, like the poor kid's gonna be the next Will Levis. He's gonna get murdered so bad. He's gonna have, PTSD, and he's gonna look like a deer in the headlights. And it's sad to say that because you don't want to put Brisket out there and let him get murdered even more than he already has. I would have waited. I probably would have waited to at least their bye week. And that way, if you're going to do it then. So that way he has a week and a half of all first team reps, get used to it, and then go ahead out there and see what the kid could do. But putting him too early, it's going to be Will Levis, Bryce Young, like all the young quarterbacks that are not doing well this early in their career.
The one thing is that the Patriots are going to have the same starting 5 offensive linemen for the second week in a row for the first time all season. So I'm wondering if maybe that's a part of it too. Is like maybe they were looking to get a little consistency with the offensive line to begin with. Not that they're any good.
Yeah.
But I've been seeing a couple of Patriot fans, talking lines like, what do we got to lose? What's to lose? In which case I said, you can lose Drake May,
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to play when your rib is sticking out of your rectum. You know what I mean? And yeah. I go back to that Jet game where they put him in garbage time for the last drive. And of the first 4 plays, he got fucking drilled on 2 of them. Like, his first play, he got drilled so hard into the ground, I thought he died. I thought they buried him right next to Hoffa. It was so just, And he got up, and I was like, oh, thank God the kid got up. But I was like, I was like, you're going to subject him to that? I was like, that's the whole reason you got Jacoby Brissett was, unfortunately for Jacoby, es nom patria et filii et spiritus sancti, that he was out there to be the sacrificial lamb, so that Drake May could sit and learn from the NFL, learn how NFL offenses work, how the NFL defenses work, how the whole game is, and whatever medical costs that Jacoby incurred, be damned. But now we're looking at it as like, we're gonna throw him in there because what's to lose? You could lose your top drafted quarterback. That's what could happen because your team isn't good, your offense isn't good, your defense isn't particularly good. You lost to the fucking Dolphins. Like, that's why I had them in my booty cheeks 5. They were number 1 in my booty cheek. Well, not number 1, but 32. But they were my bottom of bottom teams because of just how poorly they played against the Dolphins, who I think might be the worst playing team in the NFL. Whether you think it's because of injuries or they don't have Tua or whatever other reasons, the Dolphins are not great.
Yeah. So
to lose to the Dolphins at home, and now you're going to throw the kid in there to start? I don't know.
I mean, like, worst case, put whoever the third stringer is, put him in there to start this week, at least for the next couple weeks. You know, if you want to
No, at that point, then you're admitting that okay, well, we're not even trying to win games, and you don't send that message to the other players, and then everybody just starts quitting. Nobody wants to play.
But
So
the players aren't stupid. I mean, Jabril Peppers is stupid, but the players aren't stupid. Like they could see that.
We'll see what happens with that. We don't, he's got a story. She's got a story. We'll see what the Cubs. Again,
she's on the exempt list.
Because they're doing their investigation, which is what they should have done with Rashee Rice to begin with in the NFL. So, we'll see what happens with that case. Doesn't look good.
No.
Doesn't look great, but I always want to listen, I gave Deshaun Watson the benefit of the doubt when all the first when the things started happening. Which, by the way, that latest one got resolved, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Or Brown fans.
I was going to say, man, if you're a Cleveland fan, you were hoping for that to be your way out. Nope.
So he has more settled cases than touchdowns this year.
He's got more. Does he not have a touchdown this year?
No. So, what was it? The first time around was 13 settled cases, and then this one.
Well, no, because here's the thing. And this is where I'll begrudgingly be like, whether you're innocent or not, like it was like I don't know if everybody remembers, like he refused to settle any of the cases.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm fighting all of these. I'm going to fight all of these. And his lawyer came to him and said, if you fight all of these, it'll be 30 years before it's done in court. For all of them.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
And it was like, it's just not feasible to do that.
Yeah.
So then they had to settle. So I'll give him, not to give credit. I'm not giving him credit. You don't want to give credit to somebody who's kind of, and that's the other thing too. Whether you think he is guilty of sexual assault or any of the other things, or not, the one thing that is undeniable is that he's a fucking creep.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm a dirty pervert. I get that. But I'm not creepy.
Yes.
That's where you draw the line. You can watch massage videos on Pornhub, but don't try to reenact them with people unwillingly. That's where you cross the line.
I saw this one time.
The girl in the video liked it. I thought she would too. That's not how it works, Deshaun. That's not how it works. None of it works like that.
And how about the other thing with Deshaun here too? I saw today, and obviously this won't happen, but if they were to release him this year, I think it's this year. Next year, the dead money is $172 million of dead money. What's the cap this year? Like 200 million, 220?
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to field a team.
I think the cap hit, like the actual physical cap hit, would be something like, I think it's 90 something million.
Yeah.
It's somewhere between like 72 or 90 million over the next 2 years. Like it would be each year is that amount of money. And you're talking about, at that point, you're talking about a good chunk, if not half of the cap space. Like you can't, they've put themselves in such a bad spot. And now you were kind of hoping, like if you're a Browns fan, you're hoping like, oh, if this case is something else and can go forward, then maybe they can find something in a contract that'll be like, oh, we can void it and then get rid of him and then we could be saved. But they settled the lawsuit, so now all that's a moot point. So, anyway,
if you're Stefanski, do you ask for his release? Do you ask for your release? Like, I don't want head coach no more.
No. You're
stuck with him for the next 3 years.
You hold on to your job for as long as you can. It's just that you're in a bad situation now because you have an owner who is forcing your hand because of the bad deal that he made. So you're basically being punished for the owner's bad decision, and the owner is continuing to punish you because he fucked up. He's like, well, we paid him all this money. We have to play him. And it's like, why did you pay him all that fucking money? Well, because we wanted it. Because he was going to go to Atlanta or he was going to go to Carolina. It's like, boy, doesn't it look like it seemed like we should have let him do that, huh? So I don't know. In the chat, let's get this situation for the Pats. Feels 100% like the Joe Burrow situation in 2020 with the Bengals. Drake May can end up having the same injury that Burrow had in 2020. Again, I think Pat fans would be excited if Drake May was Joe Burrow.
Yes.
If he can perform that well on a bad offensive line or a bad offensive team, but then again, he doesn't have Jamar Chase next to him. He doesn't have T. Higgins, and he doesn't have a defense like those Bengals teams had. The worst thing about the Bengals on those teams, on the early Joe Burrow teams, his first year, the Super Bowl year, and his second year, was that offensive line. He won and was able to win despite the offensive line. The Patriots have a lot more problems than just the offensive line. Offensive line is a big problem. Do not get it wrong. But they have a lot more problems than just that. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that until we see him play. Then again, we all thought before the season, oh, Caleb Williams is going to suck. Then we watched him play a couple preseason games, and I was like, could be good. Then we watched him play a couple regular season games and said, boy, he sucks. Now the last 2 or 3 games, it's like, could be good. Like we are slaves to recency bias. We see something and we're like, oh, he sucks. Oh, it could be good. Oh, but now he's terrible. But that's bad. That's why I try to hold back on making any like super declarative statements. Yeah. I don't want to be a Skip Bayless. I don't want to be a hot take person. I don't want to be ended up on fucking Old Takes Exposed on Twitter. Like that's why I'm not saying I'm gonna shove shoes up my ass or eat shit or whatever the one person was say. Which by the way, I still don't think that Florida State fan has paid up on his bet to eat shit. So
no, he's been quiet since then.
Well, yeah, because he deleted his account. So then he's going to be very quiet. So that's just that is what it is. But I'll tell you what, Jimbo. It's not just about all the football. And there's a lot of football. Again, listen, heavy football. Lots of football going on. But guess what started last night? One of the most
curling?
beautiful things in the whole world.
Well, I mean, curling is beautiful.
Curling is beautiful, but curling, listen, I'll tell you what, curling nowadays, it can happen all year round. It happens all year round. Some places. But curling is starting up again, and it is good to see. So I like where your head's at. I like what you got your head on the swivel, and I like that. But not NHL season started yesterday for everybody else. It already started about a week ago for the Devils when we won 2 games in Czechia against the Buffalo. I almost said Buffalo Bills. That's the Buffalo Sabres. Devils looking real good. I think we play tomorrow night for our first stateside game. It's either tonight or tomorrow night against Toronto. Which is kind of funny because we have Toronto's head coach from last year as our coach. So, fuck you, Maple Leafs. But, Jimbo, NHL started last night. Any takeaways? Utah got their very first win as a franchise in their first game against the Chicago Blackhawks. People really enjoyed watching that game, or half of the game, depending on where you were sitting at the Delta Center. But other than that, what are your thoughts on NHL opening night?
Well, I'm just happy because I'm not saying I gave up on the Eagles season, but I'm not too confident of us turning it around. So I have hope for the Flyers to have an entertaining season. I'm not saying we're making the playoffs, not saying we're making the Stanley Cup Finals or anything like that, but I'm excited about the rookie that we drafted this past draft is going to be starting for us. Plus, we have another 18-year-old kid who the coaches and the front office weren't even thinking he'd be ready for the big show, and here he is. He's going to be the youngest Flyer ever to debut Friday night, which is our first game. I think they say he's like 18 years and like 6 months old. Well,
you guys are starting late. By the way, the Devils Maple Leafs is tomorrow night, so that'll be that. Let me see. When are your Fly guys playing here?
Friday night against the
you're playing
Canucks?
Friday, out in Vancouver with the Cougs. Yeah. You're playing against the Cougs, the Canucks there. So 10 o'clock at night. You're going to watch that game?
Oh, I'm definitely going to watch it. I was thinking about doing
you're not going to bed until after 1 o'clock if you're going to watch that game.
I was thinking the game would be like a 7, 8 o'clock start, and I'd be like,
not out in Vancouver. It's 7 o'clock in Vancouver, but that's fucking 3 hours behind us, man.
Well, I was just thinking just Flyers, period.
You're just thinking Flyers, you weren't thinking they're starting out on the West Coast. Yeah. That's it. Their first 4 games are Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, and Seattle. So they're all 10 o'clock games. They don't play back in Philadelphia. They don't play a 7 o'clock Eastern time game until the 19th. Saturday the 19th.
Like a week and a half.
And that's when they'll play again against the Canucks. So, boy, they're really they knocked that Canucks series out real fucking early.
Yeah. And are they playing at the Stay Tuned Sports Arena?
On that Saturday, yes.
Yeah.
That Saturday, they're playing, yes. If anybody pays attention to our social media, which you might, you can find all the there's King STS Sports, King _ST Sports. There's Jimbo ST Sports. There's the main one, which is at Stay Tuned Sports Podcast or ST Sports Podcast. Sorry about that one. All those links are everywhere. Look around, look under here, look on the ticker, look in the links, look in the description, look everywhere. We got links everywhere. By the way, if you want to help us out, please like, share, subscribe. Helps us out tremendously. You can join us in the chat. Chat is open. Our boy ELS in there, hanging out with us, giving us the stats. Excited for hockey. He is as well. And who is it? Like, dude, I'm so happy. Like, this is we're getting to the sweet spot of sports, of the sports year. We're getting baseball's just about to hit the World Series, which is the only time that baseball matters and anybody cares about it. I'm sorry. That's just how it is, baseball people. You can be upset with me all you want. Your season's too fucking long. When you're starting in March and ending in November, there's a fucking problem. Shorten that fucking bitch up, would you?
I said that at work. Someone said, "Hey, did you catch that Phillies game last night?" I said, "No, fucking baseball's boring as shit." they looked at me like I just killed their firstborn or something.
Well, let's go. Come on, Yankees. We got to get this. Don't fucking fuck around with the Royals here, all right? Come on.
They'll fuck it up.
Probably. Let's be honest. The way the Yankees have been in the playoffs the last couple of years, they're gonna fuck. We're wasting Aaron Judge. We're just, it's like It's like when the Yankees had Don Mattingly. We're wasting Don Mattingly. We're wasting Aaron Judge. Come on. Well, ELS says he's a Lightning fan and a Utah Hockey Club fan. How can you? They just start. I'll like them. I'll root for them. Except they play the Devils. I think this Monday coming up. So fuck them then. But I'll root for Utah. I like him. I like their owner. He's kind of weird. His wife's
he
kind of
seems like a cool guy to have a beer with.
He's like one of those cool hip billionaires. Whatever. And like I said, his wife's kind of hot. So I wouldn't mind hanging out with them. But yeah, he doesn't seem terrible. And Utah is beautiful. Like you said, you look outside your window there in Utah. It's always just like the beautiful mountains, beautiful woods and forests and all that shit. So it's nice. So I don't mind rooting for them. I like rooting for the new teams. Like I rooted for Vegas when they first hit, and I still do. I still like Vegas. A lot of people hated them, but I like them. But to say that you're already a Utah hockey fan.
We'll check back halfway through the season when they're last place and everything. He might be doing the Seattle Kraken. Let's get on the bandwagon now while we can.
Maybe, but still one of the prettiest uniforms. I know it's brand new, but that Seattle Kraken jersey is beauty. I love it. And now I also wonder with Utah, because I know the hockey club name is temporary because they didn't have a real chance to get the marketing machine moving, while they moved, and the owner wanted to give it time, so they would go. But if they do well, and the name kind of catches on, almost like the way Washington football team did, until they went with Commanders for some goddamn reason. But if that catches on, it makes you wonder can that stay? Do they just end up being the Utah HC, man, the Utah Hockey Club?
Hopefully they look at Washington and be like, you know what, let's not make that mistake.
Here's the thing. I would rather that than some of the other ones they have there. Like fucking Yeti or Blizzard or some of that shit. I'm not.
When you say Blizzard, I'm thinking of Dairy Queen.
Exactly. You say Yeti, I'm thinking of a fucking cooler. You say, I'm not big on a lot of these. The Black Diamonds is actually pretty decent.
That's okay.
Kind of ties into the whole ski slopes and dangerous and speedy and fast. You can tie that in with some marketing, and plus it's cool. Black Diamonds, have a black jersey, go things you can make that work. See, Black Diamonds is the unique name. I like you can make that work. Fucking Yetis, this isn't 1994, man. Come on, we can do a lot better. We could do a lot better than that. By the way, your our boy ELS in the chat, talking about your boys, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, listed as full participants in practice today. So
as well as Lane Johnson will be back too.
Boy, dude, if you lose to the Browns, now it's a real problem. Now that's a real problem.
Are we gonna cover that game?
Yeah, no, that's good because the Giants are a Sunday night game.
Okay.
So
because you may see a wide range of emotions for me. I'm always gonna root for my boys, okay? But if we get down by 10, 15 points,
you're gonna start rooting for a blowout for the Browns to blow you out.
You may see me shift over and be cheering for a Deshaun Watson touchdown or Amari Cooper.
Let's take a pause. We won't be rooting for Deshaun Watson.
No.
We might root for the Browns.
Yeah.
We might want to see the Browns win, but we're not rooting for Deshaun Watson.
And then when the Browns beat us, I just want the camera to pan over towards like where the tunnel to go to the locker room, and I just want to see Big Dom there as Sirianni's walking towards him. And then just ripping the duct tape.
What you want is an Arizona State situation.
Yes.
Where Herm Edwards was walking off the field and right there was already the school president being like, yeah, this ain't working out. You can just get to your car and drive the fuck home because you're fired. You know, you want that. You want Sirianni to start walking towards the tunnel and have Roseman there being like, hey, Nick, can I talk to you for a second? Yeah. Time for you to go home, okay? And you can go walk and drive in your own car, or we can make you go home. Which one you want to choose? Again, we're Philadelphia. We know a couple guys, all right?
Yeah. And maybe...
And that's when Big Dom walks up behind Sirianni and is like, I was here to protect you. Now, I get my orders from other men.
and I don't condone fans of all teams throwing stuff on the field like the Padres game the other day. But if he gets fired in the end zone and fans hear that and just happen to have Minor near them as he's walking off, take your Minor with you too, and just throw Minor at him.
Just people start chucking flower pots at him or something. Just
smash.
Look at my fucking azaleas.
We are so terrible.
It's been it's been a while. It's been good. By the way, I did want to see. Do I still have this up here? I have it messed up, so it's going to look kind of funky. But I don't care. This we do our best that we can here. Hold on one second. Let me see if this works. Okay, yeah. So it is still kind of. I still have it messed up from yesterday because I was the only person on here yesterday. Okay, that's mine. Hold on. I want to go back to your top 12 here. Which actually this week I don't have too much of a problem with. I'm going to be honest with you.
A lot of teams are on a bye.
You still have the Vikings and Lions on top
Yes.
over the Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs had played maybe their best game all year.
Kansas City, all the wins they have were close wins. Close wins. Minnesota only had 2 games that were close wins. The other ones were blowouts. So that was kind of like the tiebreaker for me.
And then you have the Ravens at 4. I agree with. Packers at 5. That might be high. Sorry, ELS in the chat. I think Packers at 5 might be a little high. Texans at 6. Commanders at 7. I have the Commanders a little bit higher. Where do I have the Commanders? I have the Commanders at 5, and I have the Packers at 7. So honestly, we just have the Commanders and Packers flipped.
And
I have the Commanders at 5,
same?
Texans 6, Packers 7. You have Packers 5, Texans 6, Commanders 7. Buccaneers at 8. I'm fine with that. Bills at 9. I think that's a little high considering for them. I have the Niners out. I don't have the Niners in my top 12.
I was wondering what you were going to do with the Niners.
I have them out. Listen, you're 2-3. You've lost some pretty awful games. You lost that game to Arizona, which again, it feels like the same way they lost to the Rays. Like you can't lose that game. And if you want, I know you're injured. I know you're very injured. I know you have all these problems, but you can't lose those games. So I think that's a big reason why until they start playing better, even with the injuries. If you want to still be the team in the NFC, you have to show that you're better, and you still have receivers dropping balls. Your defense still is giving up big plays. Like you have Kyler Murray, already celebrating on the 50-yard line because he knows you're not catching him.
Speaking of him, that story is funny too. Him getting a sponsorship from Call of Duty.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. He just kind of said, fuck you guys. Everybody wanted to make fun of me for it. Fuck you. You have the Cowboys at 11.
Yeah.
Interesting. I know they're technically 3-2, but
yeah,
they should have lost to the Giants. They're lucky they got out of Pittsburgh with a win. Again,
it's a win.
They were getting blown out by the Ravens. They did make a bit of a comeback, but again, they got blown out by the Saints, who we're finding out are maybe not that good.
Yeah.
So I get it, but I'm a little. If ELS wants to know, so what you want Big Dom to kidnap Nick Sirianni, and you want him fired?
See.
Oh boy!
Just take him to the cornfield like Joe Pesci and his brother in the movie Casino, and don't kill him. Just leave him there and just drive away. Let him figure out how to go home. I mean, he's one with the manure, so he could just sniff his way home.
Oh, that's big. That's big news, ELS. And I was actually waiting to see who they were going to do. The Saints head coach Dennis Allen. I thought they might have go with Hainer, but instead they are going with Spencer Rattler as their starter versus the Buccaneers on Sunday.
That should be fun.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see.
Spencer Rattler played like 20 years in college.
Well, like somebody else, like I saw somebody else say when it comes to the Saints, their offense isn't that it's not that complicated. It's throw the ball downfield, see if somebody catches it.
Yeah,
that's kind of their offense. So maybe it'll work. I don't know. We'll see. But they're gonna have to do something because, well, let's see if Spencer Rattler plays well. Maybe that's a little bit more incentive for Davante Adams to want to go to the Saints. I know he wants to go to the Saints to play with Derek Carr and his buddy. But if you're the Saints, you're like, your buddy kind of sucks. So, but we look at nice shiny new toy, can throw you the ball real deep. Look at this guy. So maybe
how funny would that be? Davante gets traded to the Saints. Carr comes back, playing with them, sucks, gets benched. Rattler comes in. Adams redid what he did.
He's just redoing everything that he did in Oakland, right? That's what I mean. So that makes me wonder if that's something that is maybe does take the Saints off the board, and maybe he at this point it almost feels like it's Jets or nobody. Despite everything going on with Saleh, despite all of that, it feels like it's Jets or nobody when it comes to Davante Adams. It's either the Jets or he's going back to Oakland with a miraculous hamstring healing.
Yeah.
Either even if he goes to the Jets, he's going to walk in. He's going to be skipping to my Lou, and but that's the other thing. And this will be the last thing before we get the fuck out of here and stop bothering everybody. Does Davante make the Jets better? Does it help at all? Are the Jets that markedly improved by just having Davante Adams on their team, or is it something deeper with that offense being as simplistic as it is that even with Davante Adams, they're still going to have problems because Davante Adams can't run the fucking ball for him.
Yeah. If he got traded to the Jets today, he doesn't make the team worse. He doesn't make the team better. Only because Hackett needs to go. I think they need to get a different, some different eyes, as far as offense coordinator in there. Hackett is just not the man. Like Saleh, yes, he needed to go, but Hackett needs to go too.
I think we all know, and that's the thing that even the layest of lay fans can see. Like Hackett is not the guy.
Yeah.
So why are we still like? And I know that everybody's answer is going to be, well, because Aaron likes him, and maybe so, but like even Aaron's got to see that, right?
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
Aaron has to see like this guy is pretty fucking garbage.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't understand it. I don't get it, but I don't know. I'm not the guy in charge. I'm not like I wish I owned one of the largest and most famous pharmaceutical companies in the world so that I could own the Jets and make those decisions. You know, even though I'm a Giants fan, you know, I would love to be a billionaire and I would love to own an NFL team, so I wouldn't complain. But to like, it feels like there are decisions that can be made or should be made that haven't been made. I think the Saleh one was the right one. I honestly do. And I know somebody, and I saw this on Twitter too, and it made me laugh. Because someone's like, go ahead, name me the last time somebody got fired and an interim coach brought him to the playoffs. Let's see if you can answer this.
The Oakland head coach, Oakland coach.
I guess
I can never remember his name, but I remember the
Rich Bisaccia.
Yeah.
Guess when he took over for John Gruden when John Gruden left.
That was early on. That was like 5 or 6 games, wasn't it?
Week 6 is when he took over. Same amount of time.
Yeah.
So it can happen. It can happen.
But also Matt Rule got fired after week 5 too, and they're still trying to find a head
Okay,
coach.
yeah, but there were a lot. The Panthers had a lot of other problems other than Matt Rule. And as we're seeing what Matt Rule's doing out in Nebraska, who beat fucking Rutgers, fucking cocksuckers. That's okay. Rutgers is still in. Come on, boys. Come on. Scarlet and White. Fight, fight, fight. We'll see. Who's Notre Dame playing this week?
Stanford. 3:30 game.
God, we should win that fucking game. Come on, Notre Dame. Don't make it close. Don't make it.
Should.
I know.
Should.
That's what makes me upset. That's what makes me nervous.
We finally got into that 12, top 12 spots that we.
I thought
we
we're
wanted to
number
be,
11. Yeah, we're number 11.
You know, and this is where
We're number 11 because everybody else fucking lost.
I am upset that I wasn't able to do the show with you yesterday because I did ask you to try to do a.
I know. I did it
this.
and everything. I had the Vanderbilt graphic ready to go.
Yeah, and I was gonna put Vanderbilt as my number 1 NFL team for beating Alabama. Thank you, Vanderbilt.
What a game. What a game that
Yeah.
was. And, of course, I was out doing fucking laundry. Always when I'm out doing laundry is when the cool shit happens. Whenever I'm home, bored, not doing anything, it's always ho-hum, same old, same old. Oh, I got to go out grocery shopping or go do laundry. Fucking the college world explodes when every Tennessee loses. Fucking Michigan loses. USC loses. Alabama loses. Georgia got somebody else arrested. It's like, oh, my God. I think they said that's their 27th arrest since the start of the 2023 season for Georgia. My God.
Yeah.
Go Badgers. We're waiting to beat Rutgers. No, you're not going to beat Rutgers. You're not going to beat Rutgers. Calm down, ELS. Relax. Scarlet and White. Fight, fight, fight. You can jump around all you want. We're going to be jumping up on that Badger ass. Wait a minute. That sounds...
What?
I know. Thank you so much for watching us here on Stay Tuned Sports. If you like what you watch, please like, share, subscribe. Helps us out immensely. If you want to help us by giving us any donations or go to our merch store and buy some merch, brand new merch in there. New 8-bit helmets are in there as well. Go check those out. You can click on either or do the QR codes here that are there. Woo, doing a little QR code dance there. Or the links are down in the description. You can click on those. Help us out. Anything that you can contribute or help to us, of course, is appreciated beyond belief. You guys have no idea how much we appreciate it. Thank you so very much. And right now, leader in the clubhouse is Bryce. I think we also Elam matched the $5 he had. But if you want to get your name on a ticker, you got to beat the $5. But again, like I said, you can donate 50 cents. I don't care.
Yeah.
Every little bit helps, and so we thank you so very much here. But that is going to do it for us here on this Wednesday afternoon. Oh, wait a minute. We can't end yet.
Oh, shit, yeah.
We got to make our picks for Thursday Night Football, baby. San Francisco 49ers making their way up to, the Santa Clara 49ers. Because I saw, everybody keeps on still calling the Giants and Jets the New Jersey Giants and New Jersey Jets. So fine. Fuck you. I'm calling every team for where they play. So it's the Santa Clara 49ers versus the Seattle Seahawks, because they actually play in downtown Seattle, so that makes sense. Who you got in that one? Because both teams lost games. Both teams had field goals blocked and returned for touchdowns in those games. I want to talk about a weird thing. And now on a short week, they have to play each other. It's in Seattle, I believe.
Yeah.
So, Jimbo, who you got?
I'm gonna go with Seattle. Even though they lost this past week to the Giants.
To the Giants, yeah.
Yeah. Listen, this whole weekend
I know you were not feeling well. It's kind of a blur. I get it.
Yeah. They're not a top-tier team, even though before the Detroit game they were 3-0 and all that stuff. But they are at least top 15 team. And I think San Fran is in trouble. This I actually may be
but you have them in your power rankings. So you're saying Seattle's not a top 12 team, but they're a top 15 or something. And meanwhile, you have San Francisco sitting at like 9.
Yeah, well, they got elite Brock Purdy.
You're the one who ranked him there. I don't have him ranked in my power rankings. You do. So apparently you believe more in Brock Purdy than I do.
But I think Seattle pulls it off. This could be a bad game. This might be a typical Thursday bad game.
Despite everything in my body telling me not to, I'm gonna ride with the Niners until there's like if they lose this game, they are in trouble.
Yes.
But for right now, I still have enough faith that even with all the injuries, they're going to be able to pull something out here. Maybe they'll play better in Seattle. Just maybe being away from Santa Clara for a little bit. Maybe being away from the 175-degree heat or whatever they were playing in on Sunday, which Arizona seemed to be fine playing in that. I wonder why. But it just again. No real metrics or anything to go off here. I could sit here and try to say like, well, if you look at how Brock Purdy's efficiency and how the defense and Nick Bosa has been doing this, like this is straight up just I feel like the 49ers are going to go there and win. That's all. And that's probably the wrong way to go about it, but I won more games than you did last week, so
first time all year. Calm down there.
No, second time because I won the picks the picks last week too. So that's 2 weeks in a row that I beat you with the picks.
Slow down.
I know. Listen.
Shows you how bad you were in the beginning of the
I'm like
year.
I'm like Bo Nix. I'm just starting to hit the stride now. Starting to get we're getting better every week. Every week we're improving. So anyway, for Stay Tuned Sports. I'm your boy King. That is your boy Jimbo. We will see you tomorrow live stream right here Thursday night football. Oh, ELS says he's got the Seahawks to win. So I'm alone. I'm on my own island here. But we will see you tomorrow night for Thursday night football. Watch along. Thank you, everybody. Adios.